we go, there we go, there we go. Hello, my darling FUMINATION. How are you? How are we? My name is Fumi Desalu-Vold. For those of you that are stopping by for the very first time, you are so very welcome indeed, my darlings. Are we living and are we loving for the fabuloso? This was really my stylist. My stylist, Jerry, said, Fumi, you know what? I want you to try something new. This is rock in collaboration with H&M. It is a corset, it is a skirt, and it's got gloves. I have to stand up for the fabulosity. And the skirt, just look, is kind of high in the middle and it's pleated all the way. So let me just come to the back so that you can see what we're working with. Let me push this to the side. There you go. What are we thinking? Do we live? Do we love? It's not for everybody, but I do love the drama of the gloves. The gloves kind of sold me. Thank you, my beautiful Jerry. I do live and love. I have one or two pieces and I thought, you know what? It's interesting. I would wear this to a wedding. Yeah, I would wear this to a wedding and I would put on a wonderful feathered hat for the extra drama and it would be what it would be. Yes, my darlings, I lived. You see how it's all spilling aside. All right, my loves, I want to tell you something before we get into this episode. I advocate for certain charities and this will be my lifelong charities. The first is Parkinson's, because my wonderful uncle, dear me, passed away from it. My wonderful father-in-law passed away from Parkinson's. As you very well know, I struggled with fertility. And I will be launching Fumi Fertility Foundation. I announced this at the wonderful meet and greet that we had this past week, of which you're going to see clips of throughout the week. I also advocate for the elderly care and dementia. Christina's father passed away from dementia. April is Autism Awareness Month, ADHD, as well as being on the spectrum. I advocate for autism awareness. And I got such a response from a lot of you who approached me and said, my son is on the spectrum. And Miko, they've requested that we run 30 miles, a mile a day. I've already completed the 30 miles. I love children, as you very well know, so it is autism awareness as well as young children, the same way I advocate for dementia and the elderly. These are very close to my heart, very, very close. And I also advocate for DV. And I had non-profit organization, as I had mentioned, that came for the meet and greet. And we had a wonderful survivor from that. I love women. I love women. I love women. I wish I could marry every single one of you. And I advocate for those that cannot stand up for themselves. If I were to adopt 10 children, of which I think I will further down somehow, I want to adopt all the children that have needs, that have special needs, that need more than others, every single one of them, because those are the ones I feel are left behind some way, somehow. I wanted to bring this up because a lot of you were not at the meet and greet. As we have grown, and I have grown older, I have to have substance. It has to have substance. My life has to have meaning. I have to do something with substance. And so while we had the most amazing goodie bags, I made sure that I had women there that needed support. And so we had financial wellness. We had an education, financial wellness, financially independent, because women need that when they go through DV. I bring all of this up today because of the situation at hand with Jeezy and Jeannie Mai. When it was announced last year that they were breaking up, it didn't make sense because they had just been together for 2 years in the pandemic. We now find out, I'm not going to get into all of the details, but you know them because you can read it all on the Shade Room, the details in the Shade Room, of how in 2002 at the Ritz-Carlton in San Francisco, how he pushed her down the stairs. How he has a habit of telling, this is Jeezy, of telling the driver at the time to step out of the car while he verbally says these things to Jeannie and while he strikes her across the face. We have heard stories of how he has said the most terrible things to his son while he pushed the boy through a glass at the bathroom and said, if I could get away from deleting you, I would. We have heard stories of how he had beautiful Monaco locked in a room all night, left unattended, no nanny, while he went out to perform. We have pictures of how he was in a cart and they crashed, and you can see Jeannie Mai's legs and body. I'm not going to show any of that here. These are stories that are not new. It's because they're celebrities. That's why it's made the news. But I have sisters, as I am talking, are watching this, that are going through this situation. It breaks my heart for you that don't have the support, the financial support, or anywhere to go. Jeannie Mai and Jeezy both went to their therapist and went to their pastor. I'm going to address them individually in a minute. I just wanted to give you the rundown, of which you can go anywhere on the internet and you'll get the details. I'm not going to go into the details here because we know what this is. It now makes a lot of sense. From the moment they kind of got together, Jeezy was showing who and what he is. I feel that he's a thug. I feel that he has unresolved issues, of which he had a sit-down discussion with another actress, I forget her name now. And they are unresolved traumas. Who is behaving the way that he is because it was what he was shown. He talked about how his mother had had ammunition and put it out in front of him. And that is how he defends himself. Remember that he lived in the world of... That's what he did before he decided to invest whatever money he had into music because it was less dangerous and everybody was getting deleted. He said it himself. Jeannie, I believe you. Every single word. I believe you. And I believe that your issues does not stem from Jeezy. It does not stem from Freddie. It stems from when you were a child. This is unresolved trauma, and that is why you're choosing the partners that you're choosing. I'm going to go a little deeper because I don't know who your therapist is, but you need to change the therapist. And you need to go raw and strip everything off. If you don't do that, Jeannie, you will not be the mother that you want to be to Monaco. You have to strip yourself bare and build yourself back up. We are not bad people as adults. It's all unresolved trauma that triggers us to be and do what we do. And when you had this attack on you when you were a child from this man when you were a child and your mother didn't believe you, you have been trying to be relevant and people please your entire life. You married Freddie for the wrong reasons. And you couldn't and didn't want to be a mother because the child in you was still screaming and crying. Because you don't know how to take care of somebody when you cannot take care of yourself. And you thought, Jeezy, this strong African-American man that's been through, he'll protect you. And that's what happens with a lot of DV circumstances. You read it in the comments. Why didn't she say anything? I'll tell you why they don't say anything. Because they're still in shock. Because they don't stop loving the person that has done this to them. They stop loving themselves. Jeannie actually came out and said, oh, you know, I have a quick temper. I'm hot-tempered. I'm this, that. Remember, she said it. Because those were excuses. Because she was trying to justify the way the man that she loves could throw her down the stairs into a lobby at the Ritz-Carlton in San Francisco in a room full of strangers. It has to be my fault. It's not to get out. They don't process it that way. It's too shocking to the system. They don't understand that the person that has done this to them does not even love themselves. Jeezy only knows how to survive. He talked about how he was a little boy and him and the neighbor ran into the cupboard when a man brought out an ammunition and actually tried to delete his wife. That's unresolved trauma. And he's grown up to do it because that's all he knows. That's how he has learned to survive. And that is why he leaves it there in front of Monaco and doesn't think anything wrong with it because I survived it. It's unresolved trauma. It's all trauma. These were scared children. Were not supervised by their parents because of one thing or the other. And what we call repeating it from one generation to the next. That's why we choose the people we choose. Because Jeannie has not learned to love herself. And so she kept quiet. And they went out to another event where she was missing for 25 minutes with a friend in the bathroom. They got into the taxi driver, please excuse the premises, excuse us from here, and again lunged at her. But what about the women that are sitting and watching, going through this repeated abuse? Does he love you? You keep on asking. It's my fault. I should have, and he wouldn't have done this. It is no excuse. It is no excuse. It is no excuse. And by you staying here, you're only showing your children, the boys in the family, they can get away with this. The daughters in the family accept it. You have to get up and you have to go. And the verbal abuse sometimes is worse than the physical. And you hide your bruises. And you hide it from family and you hide it from friends. Because you want to keep up a facade. Why? I don't care about your wonderful blooming relationship. I don't. I only care that you are happy. If you are in a relationship and you have to come kissy face every single time on social media, that is not a marriage. It's not. Nobody has that kind of time. We have to pick up Adrian. We've got work to do. I've got editing. I've got exercise. I've got to speak to Maria the nanny about food and stuff that she has to do the following day. I've got my parents. I've got this and that. I'm too busy to make kissy face with the man that I truly love on social media. I don't have the time. But we're married 15 years and counting. Jeannie Mai is only 2 years, not even. You only had enough time for a poke in the whiskers and get Monaco, excuse me if I was crass, and that was it. But you have this girl now to raise. And you have to raise her in a healthy environment. And if Jeezy is not doing it, he got to go. Because it is not the biological father that's important now, after the fact. It's the man that loves you and loves her. that is who is going to shape her to be the woman that she will be. That goes for all of the women that are watching this. For the men that you are doing this to your wives, it's cowardly. You're angry at yourself. You're disappointed at yourself. And you haven't found or discovered control where you can keep your hands out of it and you can talk, because you have unresolved trauma. It is a shame across the board, because there are children here and they grow up and repeat it, or they grow up and they can't function and they get triggers, and it messes up their careers, it messes up their relationships, it messes with their head, because you did this in front of them. As far as I am concerned, I believe Jeannie. And I know some of you will say, Freddie would be there sitting down laughing. If Freddie is a good man, of any kind of man, he would call and say, Jeannie, are you okay? Are you okay? Do you need some help? Do you need some support? This is why everything went from 0 to 100. And I am absolutely certain that Jeannie did not even want this to come out. She held back on it. And Jeezy took advantage of it and said, as he said, I can do better than you. But Jeezy, you can't do better than anybody. You can't even do good for yourself. And Jeannie, you have to take your daughter out of this circumstance. Because why? Look at what he did to his first son. Monaco is just a little baby. And he left her unattended. If it is true, allegedly, in a room, locked. There was no nanny around. I cannot begin to fathom that. What if there was a fire? This child would have been in there. Because you want to keep up a facade. Because you know what? I don't want people to know, oh my God, it's my second marriage. Oh, this, that, and the other. Let me tell you, before I was blessed with a wonderful husband like Ula, there were a whole bunch of frogs. It wasn't 1, 2, 3, 4. The woman that you see today was not the woman then. But I knew that for me, you know what? It starts with you. You got to break it all the way down. Break yourself down and build yourself back up. To be a good wife, to be a good mother, that's a different kind of role. It's not about judgment. It's not about pointing fingers. I don't want it to extend to Monaco. It has to stop. I don't want it to happen to all of these beautiful children that you have had. It's not their fault. You brought them here. And if the relationship is such that it is so toxic, that it is so intense, Mama, start to make plans. That is why I am a huge advocate for DV. And that was why I had financial wellness talks and fertility and all of these important things. It's not enough to laugh and drop it like it's hot. I wanted you to come in there and leave a different person, so that no matter what happens to you, you can take care of yourself. No matter what happens to you, you can take care of you and your children. I will never forget when I watched What Love Got to Do with It. It was the first time I had ever seen that the intensity of DV. I couldn't sleep for weeks because I just couldn't believe that somebody could do that to somebody that they claim that they love. It's happening today as we speak, and worse. I am so sorry, Jeannie, that you went through this. I am so very sorry. I am so very sorry to all of my sisters that are going through this. But I am here, and we will have shelters, and I will continue to advocate, and we will continue to look for monies. We'll continue to look for charities, for where you can go, for where you can have a support system. But if you don't take anything from this, I want you to take this with you. If a man puts his hands on you, from the one time, don't excuse it and try to figure out why. I don't care whether he snapped. I don't care whether he was intoxicated. I don't care if you felt that you triggered him, that you instigated it. It's time to go. It's time to go. Zero tolerance. Zero acceptance. 100% accountability if you stay. You go. It should never get to that level. Ever. Never, ever. He has the choice to walk away. And you heard how many times Jeezy said the staff should walk away. Even at the Ritz-Carlton, when Jeannie said she wasn't safe, they brought somebody to stay with her. He said she should stay out of the room. He said, no, I will stay here. Even if you want to say she was telling lies, the Ritz-Carlton, they've got all of the information. They wrote it down. They got all of the documentation. She wasn't telling lies. This is something that he has been doing. What of and about when they are home together, nobody knows. This was why he didn't want the mother there. This is why he didn't want the brother there. There is so much that has not come to the surface. If I was any judge, Monaco now can see the father under heavily supervised circumstances. Heavily. It's not your fault, Jeezy. I'm not blaming you. You're a wounded soul. You are wounded from when you were young. You said it. You had no father figure. It was your uncle. Your father was nowhere to be around. Your mother passed away and still would not even give you that grace to say, I was wrong. I did wrong by you. To maybe seal, to maybe heal. Because we hold on to that. We lash out when we don't have anywhere to release this anger. We don't. We carry it with us. And somebody else gets the whipping, as they say. Oh, I was mad from this, that, and the other. She just came up to me and I just gave it to her heart. Because you've been living and you have been surrounded and you have grown up with extreme violence. You've grown up with it. You have seen V. You have seen deleting of people. You've said it yourself. You have now become so desensitized that it has become your normality. And like I said, Jeannie, you went to this guy during COVID. All these COVID relationships, hotmess.com. Because you thought, oh my God, the world is ending. Let me settle myself. Let me this, that, and the third. It doesn't matter, Jeannie. It does not matter. Even if it means that you're going to go to husband number 5, you keep going till you get it right. But you have an obligation to your children, starting with Monaco. I'm positive, hopefully, that you will have others further down, that you have to protect them first, that you're trying to have this. And you know, now that I think about it, when you're talking about his book on Instagram and Monaco was there, such a cute little child, as all children are, not only Monaco. There are Monacos all over the world, beautiful boys and girls that deserve to have a stable environment, not to be locked in a room. How old is Monaco? She still must be wearing diapers. So there were no diaper changes. So if the child was hungry, the child didn't eat all night. The child would have woken up. Nothing. It's... And there are women out here that want children. There are women that are doing IVF. They're crying to me. They're coming to me. There are women that are trying to adopt. You have children. I don't want you to take anything from these celebrities. On the contrary, they have it worse than you. That's the way I'm looking at it, because now they feel that they have the extra burden to hide and to conceal and to pretend everything is fabulous. I just couldn't do it. I'm an Aries. I wear my emotions on my sleeve. If I'm upset, crying, happy, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I don't want you to. I want you women to begin to think of yourselves. To think of yourselves. Because you are the heartbeat to the home. You have to have your own money. You have to have your own careers, your own jobs. Especially Africa. Especially Africa. African countries. Yes. Whether it's your little marketplace money. Whether it's weaving hair. When it strikes you, you know you can go. And you can go with your children. There was a woman there at the meet and greet. Along. She ran away with barely clothes on her, with her 4 children, and they stayed in a room for almost 11 months. It's not. It's a lot. It's a lot. And it has to change. Do not forget to like, to subscribe, to hit the notification button, my darlings. And I will see you sooner than later.